Hello everyone, welcome to Brilliant Bankers. Today in our video, we will be getting a knowledge about the documentary letters of credit, which is Unit 4 of Bank Financial Management subject. So what is documentary letter of credit? What is a letter of credit? A documentary credit or a letter of credit is a very common instrument used for trade settlements across the globe. It is a link between buyers and sellers, reinforcing the buyer's integrity by adding to its bankers underpaying to pay, while sellers need to make shipments of goods specified and present shipping documents to banks before getting the payment. Thus, for international trade, where buyers and sellers are located far apart in different countries or even different continents, the letter of credit acts as a most convenient instrument, giving assurance to the sellers of goods for payment and to the buyers for shipping of documents as called for under the credit. In order to bring the uniformity in matters pertaining to letter of credit documents and the transactions, International Chamber of Commerce (ICC), which was established in the year 1919 and which is headquartered in Paris, has framed rules and procedures for issuance and handling of transactions under letter of credit, so that parties to letter of credit transactions uniformly interpret various terms and are bound by the common rules. These rules and procedures are called the Uniform Customs and Practice for Documentary Credits, that is UCPDC, Uniform Customs and Practices for Documentary Credits. And the latest under progress is the UCP 600. What does this represent? The UCP 600 represents to align with the ISP 98. And what are the things that which it aligns with? The new articles covering the definitions and interpretations in the UCP. The removal of reference of revocable credits. New sub-article covering the documents lost in transit. And the setting up of maximum examination period as 5 banking days following the day of presentation of any bill. Coming to the next slide, we'll go through the definition of letter of credit. What is a letter of credit? A documentary credit or a letter of credit can be defined as a signed or an authenticated instrument issued by the buyer's banker, embodying an undertaking to pay to the seller a certain amount of money upon presentation of documents evidencing shipment of goods as specified and in compliance with other terms and conditions. Or it can also be defined as an irrevocable undertaking by the bank on behalf of the importer or the buyer in favor of the exporter or the seller, that if the specified documents showing that a shipment has taken place or transmission of a software has been completed or a service has been rendered are presented to the issuing bank or the nominated bank within the stipulated time and all other letter of credit terms are complied with, the exporter will be paid the amount specified. So how does a letter of credit work? The, the process flow of an letter of credit is, first of all, you do have two persons in a letter of credit. Who are they? They are the importer and the exporter. In this case, the importer and exporter. Let's take it case of the importer from India and the exporter is from US. They make a contract for a trade. The importer in India places an order for goods with a supplier in US, indicating the terms and conditions under which the goods are to be supplied. The supplier from US goes through terms and conditions on the order placed by the importer, and if agreeable, it confirms the order and requests for the letter of credit from the bank in India in favor of the supplier or the beneficiary, and encloses the copy of contract, underlying document, order confirmed by the supplier. Now, the importer's bank. The importer goes to the importer's bank to apply for a LC. In this case, the importer becomes the applicant and the exporter becomes the beneficiary. The importer's bank, on being satisfied about the importer's line of business, the track record and credit worthiness, and with necessary internal approvals, opens and transmits the letter of credit through the SWIFT system to the supplier's bank or any other bank where the importer's bank has a correspondent banking relationship and SWIFT arrangements. For as in this slide, here the importer is having his account in Union Bank, wherein Union Bank will be the opening or the issuing bank, and the Union Bank is having its correspondent banking facilities at Citibank in the exporter's country. On receipt of the SWIFT from the bank in India, the letter of credit that is received in USA will advise the letter of credit to the supplier after checking the authenticity of the letter of credit. The supplier, having received the LC from the LC advising bank, which is the Citibank, will go through the contents of the LC, and after being satisfied with all the terms and conditions in the LC are in consonance with the terms and conditions of the order confirmed initially, it will manufacture the goods and complete the customs formalities as per their country's regulation. In this case, in some cases, the exporter may take that whole decision from the advising bank, or he can pass on the letter of credit to a negotiating bank to get the advice from the negotiating bank. Wherein the negotiating bank, after going through all the documents and checking through their contracts, when they feel it's okay, they inform the exporter to go ahead with their trade. Once the US Customs has cleared the consignment, supplier completes the shipment formalities by filing the copies of documents with the carrier and receives the bill of lading or the respective transport document. All the original export document along with the necessary declarations are submitted to the submitted by the supplier. The overseas supplier's bank or beneficiary bank will scrutinize the documents, and if on the face appear to be complying with the terms and conditions of the LC, may either negotiate under LC or may forward the documents to the importer's bank in India directly for honoring, or via through the advising bank for honoring the same. Simultaneously, the overseas supplier will dispatch of all the export documents to the importer or the buyer in India, enabling them to be in readiness for taking delivery of the goods once the original documents are received by the buyer's bank having issued the LC. The importer's bank will scrutinize the documents independently to that of the scrutiny already carried out by the overseas supplier's bank, and if the documents are found to be complied with the LC terms and conditions, will deliver the document to the importer. The importer's bank will make the payment through the bank or through the nominated bank by remitting the funds to the nostro account of the supplier via SWIFT. If the LC is on a usance basis, the importer's bank will send the acceptance via SWIFT, committing to make the payment on the due date. The supplier's bank will release the payment to the supplier or to the beneficiary account. The importer, having taken delivery of the documents from the bank, will file a bill of entry and approach the customs for taking delivery of the goods. After filing the bill of entry with the customs will verify the physical goods that has come into the country to the documents presented by the importer and release the goods to the importer. An entry gets recorded in the database of the customs for the goods having come into the country against the said bill of entry. The importer thereafter submits the same documents to the AD bank, who will close the entry in their database system. So, what are the different types of letter of credit? The different type of letter of credits are revocable LC. What is a revocable LC? It is one which can be amended or cancelled at any moment by the issuing bank without the consent of any party, as long as the LC has not been utilized or documents taken up. The value of such revocable LC is very limited, and therefore these are very rarely issued and accepted. What is an irrevocable LC? This is one which contains a commitment by the issuing bank to pay or reimburse the negotiating bank. Such an LC cannot be amended or cancelled without the consent of all parties concerned, especially the opener, the beneficiary, and the confirming bank, if any. An irrevocable letter of credit is an unconditional undertaking by the issuing bank to make payment on submission of documents conforming to the terms and conditions of the letter of credit. What is an irrevocable confirmed letter of credit? It is an LC which has been confirmed by a bank other than the issuing bank, usually a bank situated in the country of the exporter, incorporating an additional undertaking to pay on receipt of document conforming to the terms and conditions of the LC. The confirming bank can also be an advising bank, which on receipt of request from the issuing bank takes this additional responsibility. The confirming bank has to inform the issuing bank if it does not agree to add its confirmation, and has no obligation to add confirmation to the amendments issued thereafter. What is a transferable LC? A transferable letter of credit is available for transfer in full or in part, or in favor of any party, called the second beneficiary, other than the main beneficiary, by the advising bank at the request of the issuing bank. There can be more than one second beneficiary. That is, the LC can be split and transferred in favor of more than one second beneficiary. However, such second person or the second beneficiary cannot further transfer the LC in favor of another third party to be transferable. A credit must specifically be made transferable. What is a red clause LC? First thing, a red clause LC is always printed in red color, and the green clause is printed in blue color. Coming to the red clause, it is a provision to draw advance amount under the LC by the exporter or the seller. In other words, the seller can request an advance amount to be drawn under the LC from the negotiating bank indicated in the LC or any other bank with whom the credit is available. This advance is basically intended to finance the manufacture or purchase of the goods to be delivered under the LC. The advance is normally paid against receipt and a return undertaking from the seller to subsequently deliver the transportation documents before the credit expires. And this is mainly taken for the finance of manufacturing. What is green clause LC? This is an advance that is provided for the proof of warehousing of the items that are manufactured. Unlike the red clause letter of credit, in the case of a green clause, the advance is normally paid only against receipt and undertaking from the seller to subsequently deliver the transportation documents before the credit expires, but also against a receipt of an additional document providing proof that the goods to be shipped has been warehoused. We could say that green clause LC provides slightly better security than that of a red clause LC. What is a site LC? Under a site LC, the beneficiary is able to get the payments on presentation of the documents confirming to the terms and conditions of the LC at the nominated bank's counters. These LCs are called documents against payment. What is it? Usance LC. Usance LC is the bill of exchange or draft with certain usance period and are payable upon acceptance at a future date. Site LC is paid as and when received. Usance is payable at a future date, subject to receipt of documents conforming to the terms and conditions of the letter of credit. What is a deferred payment LC? It's quite similar to the usance letter of credit, except that there is no bill of exchange or draft drawn, and it is payable on a future date, subject to submission of credit confirming documents. The due date is generally mentioned in the letter of credit. The absence of the bill of exchange saves the beneficiary from a cost of stamp duty or any other levies as are applicable in certain countries. What is a negotiating LC? This is the issuing bank undertakes to make payment to the bank which has negotiated the documents. That is, give the value of draft and or the documents drawn under the letter of credit. The documents negotiated should be strictly as per the terms and conditions of the LC. The LC may be freely negotiated or may be restricted to any bank nominated by the LC issuing bank. What is a back-to-back LC? When an exporter arranges to issue a LC in favor of the local supplier to procure goods on the strength of export LC received in his favor, it is known as a back-to-back letter of credit. Generally, back-to-back LC is for procurement of goods locally or for import of goods from meeting the export commitments under the LC. Now, the conceptual concept of banks issuing back-to-back LC is on the strength of the export LC received from the overseas correspondent under normal circumstances. Banks issue such LCs based on the sanctioned inland LC limits for their export customers. Standby letter of credit. It has been mentioned transferable letter of credit, which is wrong. It is standby letter of credit, which is similar to the guarantees. So standby letter of credit. Standby letter of credit are similar to guarantees due to their documentary nature. They are governed by the UCPDC, and standby letter of credits can also be issued under ISP 98, the International Standby Practices. If the guaranteed service is not provided, the seller can invoke the bank's obligation to pay by submitting together with any documents that the SBLC might require. Revolving letter of credit. If any buyer requires partial deliveries of the ordered goods at specific intervals, payment can be made under the terms of a revolving letter of credit that covers the value of each consecutive installment. The bank is normally liable for the total value of all agreed partial deliveries. However, the second partial payment is not effective until the first installment has been paid and so forth. In the next video, we will be going through the topics UCP 600, and any questions on today's video may be updated in the comment section, for which we will be very eager to reply. Please do like, subscribe, and share our channel, The Brilliant Bankers. This is Nishant signing off. Jai.